Hey, Alice.
So I think we can welcome everyone, and as it is mentioned in the invitation, we are in a juncture, if you like, whereas the Third World March is soon behind us, and but even so, it will be interesting to see how we can learn from it and open the floor for those who want to express themselves with the experience of that event. But now, as Ragnar has said, there is live after the World March. So I think that this meeting will not be not less concentrated, as we say here. We will look towards the development in this meeting of the African Humanist Forum, still working with the emphasis of the gender violence and the issues of Me Too revolution, but also taking aboard the broader existential issues like the eradication of poverty and discrimination, the climate change, the ongoing wars in too many African countries and all over the world. So this is like my formality of introduction. Otherwise, I want to open the floor, and maybe Ragnar, you have an idea of what you want to get, what we should get out of this gathering when we finish.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's now we have been doing the Third World March, and we have been going around and doing a lot of activities, and it is very good when we have a very focused activity, then things happen. That is what I believe. So, and you know, if the protests are very clear and the images are clear what we are going to do, then things happened. Like when we were doing the peace sign all over, and also when we were doing this run, gender-based violence, and a lot of activities are like side work of that. But now when the Third World March is finishing, and there will be on the 5th, after 3 days, a meeting. We will share that in a good way, so you can take part to see the celebration and finishing of the Third World March. And okay, I'm still waiting for documents from some activities that were taking place. I will share some documents that Tracy did, Kjartan also did, and from Antonio from Asia. It can be a example how you can do it, but this is very important that we collect photos and some writings, explanation of all the activities we have been doing. This is one thing, but also we have another thing that things have been growing very fast, and we are getting many. So we have had some confusions and even issues, but we have to, find out how we will best organize ourselves and how we can structure ourselves, or how the network can look like. And but what we are doing, I think Antonio will tell us a little bit about the future and oncoming future, maybe a little bit later. But we are we are building the road. The same time we are taking the road, because we don't know how the future is, but we are building it and we are creating it. So what we can do is to help each other, and we can give us each other clear images of projects we are doing. But for me, if we have a clear projects and we have a clear images what we are doing, and also when we come down to a very good project, then we are a demonstration effect. Like, for example, these meetings that we have been having for internal work for 3 years now, every week for 3 years. Now the West Coast is also starting to have internal exercise meeting once a week. So that is an example how, if someone is doing something that is very nice and is working well, then it is to share it, and other people can learn from it. But and what we are thinking about now after the Third World March, when it's finished, is to develop the forum, the African Humanist Forum, both in every neighborhood, and also a forum where we connect in the country, and even Pan-African Forum where we connect all the countries, so we can strengthen and each other with solidarity and learn from each other. And then even we will have from time to time the World Humanist Forum. So that is what we are aiming at now, is the Humanist Forum. I could speak for next hour, but I think I will just, this is the focus thing. But I want documents for everything we have been doing. I will share these examples.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Sawa sawa.
Sawa sawa.
I was thinking, like that, even if it could be, we could agree in this meeting on some, like a deadline on the reports. Now the minds of everyone is clear and they're fresh. The memory is there. So how long time should we give each of the promoters, because there are many promoters that have been doing these things in where they are. So what do you think?
Okay, I would say we could give it 1 week, because then we can see the finishing of the Third World March after 2 days online, and maybe some examples there and some stories and things. So it will maybe help us to see how we can do it. And I would say if we give it 1 week.
That's Thursday, the 9th of January.
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah. But I know what, okay, the best thing is now when you're fresh, when the meeting is finished, just do it. That's how things go. Kenyans, if you don't do it now, you never do it. That's what I've learned.
Bravo.
Bravo, bravo.
Yeah. Okay.
So just sit down. I will share, right after the meeting, I will share these examples of documents that have been very well done.
Yeah. And then not forgetting that then we are also have the possibility of being of a good presence in the bigger documents about the Third World Mass, that will the big book of all the regions of the South American, of the African, and the Asian endeavors. So that would be, and it's very worthwhile, because I think in this case we can be very happy about this, really vibrating energy of the Third March in Africa. It is really very, very interesting.
Yes, it is. And I'm sharing everything that come to me to Marco. He is asking me to share. So I've been sharing everything to him.
Yeah.
But I think that's all I have to say at the moment. We were maybe Antonio will tell us a little bit about the view,
the forum, and then later on we can hear from each one of you. I mean, your impressions, because what I think personally is that you all our friends in Africa, have done extremely well in this campaign of the World March. Because really lots of people have been contacted, the activities have been done well, and lots of coordination, lots of goodwill, enthusiasm. And as a result, really we have grown strongly, because it's true that the core nucleus of people who initiated all that, there are few, not more than 10 probably. At the moment, people that have been contacted in the different countries, in the new countries we have been touching, from let's say Uganda, and really all the different areas of Kenya and Congo, perhaps Tanzania, people that before they were just mentioned from time to time, now they are concrete groups, and that's a result mainly of the team that moved with Ragnar to the different countries and the different activities, the synergies that have been created also with the other groups of Icelanders who came here for the race, for the marathon. All that has added momentum, and also has had an impact on the Western African countries, who have been seeing the example and the models and the different things, and they are adopting some of the things, and vice versa. Also, we have seen things of how or what they are doing, and is beneficial for everyone. The result is that now we have lots of enthusiasm in Africa, that we are more or less connected, and we have the means on the understanding of how we could continue this expansion and inviting people and forming groups even in the distance, because we know how to handle meetings like this one, and that will cost nothing, and where you can impart a training or have a very decent discussion with people in other places. We can share exercises, and people can close their eyes and do a mental practice, or we can study some theory. We can send files or whatever materials we want people to have on site. So really, we have had the direct experience of incorporating the new technologies. In the beginning, I remember that all the time the communications were cutting down, and it was big delays. Now it's working like in any other place with good technology. Is on the one hand that we are mastering better the techniques, or the programs are becoming better. There is a world changing very quickly that way, and that's very beneficial for us. So the next stage, that's why you have seen in many of the lists, the African Forum is really now we are coming to concentrate in the forum. We have agreed with the organizers of the march that we would support the march in Africa. And after that, we would concentrate mainly in the forum, because the march will be over. Still, activities may happen here and there promoted by the march, or discussions, or different seminars and things of that type, but not the real march where people can develop activities according to their own initiative and with the people and the grassroots in the community. So the forum is something a bit more, how to say, it's very dynamic. in terms of discussion among people, because really we are concentrating in a matter of study, but not only the studies of psychology of personal development or the works of the doctrine of humanism. That is a very important set of knowledge that we gradually are going to study and learn, but also is more what, from our viewpoint, should be the approach to the solution of some of the fundamental problems that we face. That means what would be the position of humanism, universalist humanism, regarding, for example, poverty, regarding, for example, war and violence, not only the psychological violence or the internal violence that creates violence in the environment, but conflicts between states, between nations, what democracy should be, what should be as a center of gravity of democracy. Power, the government, the party, some religion, or the people. Why? What's the reason why society get organized and gives itself a form of government? And what are the responsibilities of government towards the citizens? Because the citizens empower the governments to do things on his or her behalf. Governments otherwise should not exist. The only reason of being that they have is because they represent the people who have entrusted with the vote, with the mandate, and therefore they have to do things to solve the social problems on behalf of the people and for their own benefit. So things like that become forgotten. And it seems that we are living in the Middle Ages and the kingdoms, and the king decided everything and was sovereign absolutely, and we counted nothing. And that is totally wrong. But they have deformed the institutions of democracy into that. The Americans have been trying to rule the world as a hegemon for years. After the Second World War, the empires who have dominated, for example, Africa, and it was property of the French, it was property of the British, it was property of the Dutch, a bit of the Portuguese, and everybody had a base in Africa. And so the topic of colonialism is a topic of study that is very important, that all Africans understand what is the history of the dominance of colonial powers over the peoples, and how they have pushed the traditions, the culture, and all the possibilities of development in years. And all the natural resources that belong to each and every country in Africa have been robbed and taken and be sold, and they have made a profit, and they have left a pittance here with the dominant classes in Africa. I know the story because I come from South America, and the story was very similar. If you were a family of landlords that have received benefits from the king in the times of the colonial days, of course, you were associated to the crown. And then they formed these little cliques of dominant groups within each one of the countries that was doing the dirty work for them, enslaving the people, keeping the farms working, keeping the products out of here and there, working for a pittance in the manufacturing. And then they were taking the profits away and keeping a level of poverty, of ignorance, of political dominance, etc., etc., etc. All that, after the fight of many years, has changed. There are lots of very notable characters, I mean, in Africa that you know yourself very well, and we have seen how hard it was for them to get rid of colonialism. Nelson Mandela had to spend 27 years in prison for the simple reason that he was his nation to be free. It took all that time, but then the example of these people that fought, I mean, to the end, and many times in a non-violent way, created the effect also through the pressure of many other more free countries in the world to create conditions of freedom. But that process has not finished. Still in the world, we have huge differences in the distribution of wealth. Julius just sent me, and now there are lots of materials that you can read in YouTube. And there is a very good explanation by the socialist candidate to the president, what is Sanders. You sent me a video.
Yeah. That's very good.
And that should be shared with all of us. That
Yeah,
means
yeah,
all these interesting things that we trace here and there in different places, I think, should be shared in the group, because by studying things and becoming a clarity about how many of the problems we face together today in the world have been generated, we become wiser, we become better informed, we can invite other people to study and observe the same type of things, and we are going to educate our society.
Yeah.
Because in reality, in all the important topics of knowledge, people are very ignorant. Not just the Africans, people everywhere in the world. Even when you see these professors from the big American universities explain about this or that, the vision of history and the vision of how the process develops, etc., is lacking in many ways as compared to the viewpoints of the humanists.
Yeah.
Because what we observe to understand a problem, we try to understand the origin of that problem and its evolution in time. And then what is the present situation? And then we try to understand what are the projections towards the future. Because, I mean, obviously, if you understand the past and you understand the present, you can imagine and project the future. That is a process view to understand everything in society and ourselves. That's why in terms of personal development, we study our biographies with lots of detail. We try to remember as much as we can remember of our lives, or get some picture of when we were just born and we were little, we were to school, to refresh in our memory. And then we can go understanding our tendencies. There are schemes to study the biography. You study your habits, you study your repetitions, you study your accidents, or that means undesirable things that happen to you, and you can trace them and position them on time. And then you calculate cycles, because lots of things that happen to us, they move sort of in cycles and tend to repeat. If you are aware of that, tendencies that you have of falling into the same sort of situations again and again, then you can introduce a change. You can divert the process or reorient the process. But most people are totally ignorant about what are the tendencies, what happens to them, how they can look at themselves with different eyes. That's why it's important to work with other people in groups many times, because you get different perspectives, different angles to it. So the works of personal study considered always the process of the individual. If you understand in process, then you also can trace how do you want to change, in which direction you want to change, what things you need to reinforce within yourself. Some of us may be very shy, and because we are very shy, we avoid certain types of situations in social life. But it's very important that if you are fearless and you are confident about yourself, you will not be shy anymore, and you will be able to ask the questions you want to ask, to demand the things that you think that belong to you, and persuade other people to follow you when you think that you are in the right track to do one thing or the other. So we end up empowering ourselves to grow really as individuals and in our relationship in society. So there are lots of things that we as humanists have the benefit, because it has been the direction that all these things that Silo taught us in groups, as he was a master, but he was a friend. He was always laughing and projecting fun things to do, etc. But it's incredible all the things that we learn and we taught other people. When we explain and taught other people, then also we grow ourselves. It seems that you learn something when you can reproduce it to another one. By teaching, by sharing our experiences, we grow ourselves, because we have to put our thoughts in order so the other one can understand it, etc. So this of learning and teaching is fundamental. So coming back to the forum is what we want to do regarding lots of problems that exist in society everywhere. For example, when we talk about Me Too, you are talking of gender violence. Gender violence is not exclusive of Kenya, unfortunately. not for Kenya, but because it's a problem so general, and there are so many femicides and cruelty. Here in the UK, 100 crimes of femicide were committed only last year. 100. Probably if we go through all the rural areas in Kenya, it's more than that. But imagine, this country is supposed to be a model of civilization. Well, it's not. And for whatever reasons, the same way of tackling the femicides is the same. Some files get lost in the police officer. Somebody tries to interfere with the legal process after that, and all types of things. And many cases of femicide are in impunity. They are never processed, or they are never penalized, or take years. So imagine it's a fundamental problem, and since you see it so close to yourselves in some part of Kenya, it's very good initiative to develop and to study this problem more in depth, gain experience based in what you can see and experiment, because it's very near yourselves, and then we can share that experience, organize it, and prepare a report, like Julius and Ragnar was talking about the reports of the World March. Because then we learn and we organize the information, and the information can be shared with other people, and other people will benefit from all this suffering that so many people and families are going through, and that will be good for something. And we can do that job. Yourselves can do that job. It's fantastic. The same thing in terms of the environment, in terms of violations of human rights, in terms of all the cheating that we see from authorities, from power everywhere, in terms of violence, because nobody calls to order the individual violence. It gives impression that violence comes from the moon, that is a natural process. We say, well, we are violent. No, we are not. The human being, when he's normal and when he lives in harmony with nature, is not violent, is supportive, is solidarious, feels compassion, and tries the best for the whole group, and to keep the balance with nature, because it's nature that later on provides the nourishment that people require. So it's the natural condition, if we talk about that, is harmony, is compassion, is sharing, is generosity. And that's the only way that the initial groups of civilization have formed. And so today there is a deformation of the fundamental cultural values of society. The American culture is the winner wins all, and the rest is shit, because it's the winner. It's a culture of the winner. Sometimes you win because of luck. Sometimes you win for a certain factors that the others do not have. And sometimes who were supposed to win because they have all this support and things, they lose vis-a-vis somebody that didn't have all that support. So it's fantastic to see that really one day things may work for you, but the next day will not work for you, will work for someone else. And what are you going to do that day? They crumble. All these people who believe that the winner wins all, and they cultivate that myth of winning instead of sharing, of solidariously respect who is the best in an open competition, but without manipulation. Well, that gives a different vision and understanding of society, makes it more humane, and we can put our energy in a way that everybody can take advantage and benefit from it. So they are ideologically, they are wrong conceptions. If you move that conception of individualism, that the winner wins all, it allows the accumulation of wealth in the hands of few people. This politician that we were just mentioning with Julius in America precisely has prepared a very interesting conversation of about half an hour that you will be able to, we can copy it on the list, that explain that there are 3 mega billionaires in the United States that has more capital than all the rest of the population. One of them is Elon Musk. The other one is a guy from Facebook, and the other one is one of these, I don't know, the Amazon. And there in the United States, 1,000 billionaires. And those billionaires have more money that I don't know how many countries, conglomerates, and whatever, whatever. So the system has become an anomaly because the level of poverty in the society in the United States is horrible. Thousands of people living in the street because they don't have a shelter or they don't have a flat where to stay, but thousands in California, in cities and all over the United States. And nobody seems to care because they think we are free and because blah, 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 the winner is the winner, is the cult of that, the cult of money, the cult of individualism. Even the wages are reduced instead of going up. People do not have insurance. If you have an accident and you want to go to hospital, the social security will not attend you. And when COVID took place, they were just throwing them out of the hospitals, and the bodies, the corpses, were of people who were dying outside on the street. And then they were coming, pushing them in a truck and take them, I don't know where, to incinerate or to give to the family or whatever, whatever. So that is a model that they want to create, and they expect us to persuade us that we want to follow that. It's totally opposite to the ideals of humanists and what we want to do. And that's why they are starting wars everywhere, because they sell the weapons and they make enormous profits. And that's why these imbalances that we perceive in society everywhere, that deprives the majority of people of the basics, is the result precisely of the wrong ideologies. And those we want to reverse. But to reverse that in a non-violent way, we need to educate. And to educate, we need to form groups, we need to start to sensibilize people, we have to talk about those fundamental things. And each one of us, we have to play an active role in communicating this type of truth to others. And then we will see that through the influence of a different manner of thinking, then gradually society will start to change and will reach a different balance. Because the system as it is today has so many contradictions that even United Nations, that was destined to be the organization that could keep balance amongst the countries, has completely failed its role. Because of the vetoes that some countries have, they will neutralize all the decisions. And for example, they have tried, United Nations have voted unanimously to stop the violence in the Middle East. Because Palestine, according to the resolution of the United Nations in 1967, I think, is that two states should exist in the territory of Palestine and Israel, and should have a capital in Jerusalem, and Jerusalem should be divided between the capital of Palestine and the capital of Israel, as it has been in historical years before. Yet that is not possible because they veto, the United States vetoed the decision of all the other nations of the world, and therefore it's not possible to demand from Israel the acceptance of the two-state agreement. And they have kept killing people since last year. You remember that it started in October, I think, no, the previous year, the conflict of Hamas and Hezbollah, and well, thousands of people have been killed, and the Palestinian people have been moved out of the Strait of Gaza, and they are all over the place in a most horrible situation. And the conflict is not being resolved because of the Jewish lobby within the Parliament of the United States, between Congress, inside Congress. The majority of those MPs are Jewish, but belonging to the most radical lines in the Israeli policies, and they boycott everything. They vote against. So imagine anomalies that exist in the world today that seems that they are going to be forever, or nobody explains the reasons. They can be solved if the people everywhere start to go into the streets, start to express themselves, if society gets organized and takes an active role in building up the conditions that we need, because they are more humane and they are the future. That is in general terms, in a nutshell, the objectives of the Humanist Forum, where we want common people, according to the preference and their own experience, to study and to discuss and to document themselves in regard to the most important areas of problem that many times we all share, according to your own preference. If you are not interested, for example, in human rights, well, you can do something in terms of ecology, in terms of any other problem that is common, of individual transformation, in terms of improving the system of justice and improving the agricultural procedures so lots of people can benefit of those type of things. Well, there are so many areas of knowledge that should be grasped in depth by the people so they can really implement different models of organization of society. And these we can develop in the years to come, because many of these ideas have been already agreed by the United Nations in the Chart of Human Rights in 1948. And for 60 or 70 years, they are sitting there in paper and they are not implemented fully. And the countries that are implementing some of these principles, like China, that they are tackling the problem of poverty. Some can be accused of the Communist Party is very authoritarian, but it keeps an order in a country that has 1.5 billion people. It's probably the largest in the world. And they have eliminated poverty, the extreme poverty, completely from society. Everybody has a house, has a job, has social security, has health service, everything that they require, even the most rural populations in different parts. The last year, they completed a plan to remove 50 million from poverty. So it's respectable. But from my viewpoint, you don't need to agree in the ideology. What you can see is that when society gets organized and they have a common objective, they can produce incredible changes and transformations in the world. And the result of that is that the Chinese are very motivated to work, and they are very active, very creative, very capable, intelligent, smart, like all human beings. But the result is that now the country is in the fast track to become the largest economy in the world. In 3, 4, 5 years, will be more powerful than the Western countries put together. And with the BRICS, that is an association of countries that are also developing, they are already the largest GDP, the gross domestic product of the world. More powerful than Europe, the United States, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, and Japan, that are all the partners of them. All these partners, the close gang, are 12 or 13% of the population. The other 87% are people like you, like the Latin Americans, who do not have any of these things, and they would like to, and want to develop and want a better world, etc. So the balance is such that now the world is turning into the right direction. And we are going with our initiatives and our effort to incentivize and to give direction to that process of change that is taking place in the planet. When we talk about planet, I know that is much larger what we see every day when we go from home to our job, or we sit there or do this or that. We know, but on the other hand, because we are communicated everywhere for the first time in history, we know what is happening, and we, in a way, we can live as if we lived in the whole planet, because we see the landscapes, because we see the people, because we can translate the languages, because, yes, so in a way, we are living of a vision and understanding of the planet that never before existed. We are a very privileged human group, and therefore we have the obligation to take advantage of that experience to make it better. So with the forum, we want to initiate for the African region the discussions, the commissions, the groups of work, where people can line them up and what topics are they more interested. And the same thing we will do in the Americas, and the same things we will do in Asia, and the same things we will do everywhere else, in Europe, of course. And then the forum that we will start to form will be a world forum of universalist humanism. How long will it take us to adapt the ideals of humanism to all the specific areas of application? Will take us some time, but may not be too long before the viewpoint that considers the human being to be the central value in society will be grasped by lots of people in different countries. You can see this tendency already happening. The whole process is changing direction. And that is very favorable. That is very positive, because that is what we call humanize the earth. We are going to have a better society, more humane society, where the basic needs of all will be tackled with seriousness and as a priority. Money, beliefs, power, the nation state, all these things are secondary. Of course, we want to keep our identity. We feel that we belong to a nation, we share a certain history, but doesn't mean that we have to, because of that, to step up on the rights of other people, other traditions, other nationalities, etc. We all live together and we benefit and we create synergies wherever we can, and that will be better for everyone. So that is more or less the idea. It starts from the values of humanism, that the central value of society and the social order should be the human. And
Thank
so,
you very much.
just a short one.
Yes.
On the 25th of the month, we are going to have an assembly of the forum for the African region. But we are going to invite also people from all the other regions. So we'll have Europeans, we'll have Americans, we'll have Africans, of course, Asians, etc. And we expect those groups to become much larger. Maybe we will have, if everybody is interested and wants to come along, could be between 200 or 300 people. And we have confirmed that other than English, we can have some of the European languages, and we have also translation into Swahili. So if you want to invite some people who are not comfortable with English, still we will organize that translation. The whole meeting will take 1 hour, 45 minutes, and we'll have time to listen to the plans of the forum and also to work in separate rooms according to the areas of interest that we can define at this stage. Later on, we may change and move to other areas of interest or study. I don't know if I am confusing or not, but it's more or less the plan.
Oh, I think this has been very comprehensive and enlightening, and I like your idea and you know, that we can work by usually short videos, but that can give insights that are very educative. And I remember the last one I was distributing was the one with the Indian journalist. I don't remember his name, but he is
VJ.
Vijay. Yeah,
Yes.
Vijay. Yeah. And what he was saying appeals to me like as a musician. I understand through music. So he says that, and explains in a very nice way in an interview with a Chinese interviewer how the mood is changing in the global south. So the mood is changing. So it's like people are feeling that there is something going with them now, and the mood is changing. But at the same time, he is very realistic. He's very clear on that we are not there yet. But if we can maintain our mood, and even I think in Africa, like in the dancing, there is a certain indication of a certain unitive act and all that. So I think that using videos that will explain well the situation, this is our curriculum. And so I will make a point of distributing those videos to the major platforms of the Humanist Forum. And I am waiting on that you take the time to listen to and learn from them.
Excellent.
So I look forward to this.
Yeah. The good thing is that some of these guys now, they are very prominent people. They are the best professors of the best universities in America, for example. And so it's the type of things that we wouldn't have had ever the possibility of listening directly to any of these guys. You have to buy a book, then Amazon or whatever, that will cost us $30.
Yeah.
But now they are doing it because they want to change the establishment. They have come to the conclusion that is very important. The same thing that we are saying in the forum, the education of the general public, because the general public changes the mood. And it all the time they are taking surveys about the feelings of the population, and suddenly the results of these surveys shows that people are very unhappy with this or that or the other thing, and the government start to change direction because they get very scared and all that. So they are exercising a very good influence on this process that we are also interested to accelerate everywhere.
Yeah. Tracy wants to say something, please.
Also, to add on that, Vijay Prashad was really reflecting on what is happening in Kenya. If only Kenyans could watch that video, they will understand him more and they will fit in that shoes. Because whatever he was saying, it is what is happening now. Our president is not looking at our mood. He's looking at his own benefits and whatever that he wants. And that's why we are protesting. That's why we are being abducted. That's why we are being killed. That's why Kenya is in a lot of confusion. Right now, I was just reading I was reading a program about farmers, how the farmers in Kenya are being affected. Do you know that being a farmer in Kenya now, the United States has put sanction on us that we must have a certificate or a degree to be a farmer? Secondly, there is a way that we people, we are going to be paying levies to our land, our ancestral land that we found, even we found here, our parents found here, our ancestors found here. They are putting a bill on it, and they want to bring forward that motion. And then they are saying that we cannot share seeds. You cannot share seeds with your neighbor. They want to put a levy on that. If you are caught, you are supposed to be prisoned for 7 years. Can you imagine? This is not an African way. African community, we are social, we help each other, and we exchange what we have, from salt to ideas to everything. So if this American embassy comes and says that they want to put sanctions on that because we didn't want to follow what they want, because the young people are demonstrating and they're doing this, blah, 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 that is bullshit. And again, there is this thing that our government, you Kenyans, our government has given Bill Gates 100 acres just to come and do a guinea pig thing on microchip on our children. This guy is doing that thing here in Kenya, here in Ngong. Secondly, he says that he thinks that the Kenyan cows are not, he wants to reduce them because we have so many cows. So he wants to bring a vaccine that will help the cows not to fat and not to produce. What is that? Can't you see that they are working on us, that we should be able not to get enough food? We should not be depending on food. They take over our food, they take over our land. And when they take over our food and land, people will be desperate and they'll do what they want. But Kenyans are not seeing that. we should go to the street and demonstrate. And when I go there, people here in the humanist forum, they think I'm doing something stupid. I'm fighting for my generation. Sometimes
That's a
you
very
just,
important topic, sort of, Tracy, that you have
yeah.
just mentioned. I didn't know that they are doing genetically modifying position of seeds in Argentina. They tried to do the same thing, and the reaction of the people, because it's an agricultural country, was huge, was massive, and they couldn't. They were stopped there, and they wanted to fumigate the land instead of being natural fertilizers. They want to all these chemicals that then later
Yes,
on.
yeah.
Well, it's a disaster what they are doing, and you should resist
True.
to the limit, but not violently, because they will kill you and will give a pretext to it. But we have to create awareness, and to create awareness would be very important to have a group of study to understand what they are doing in the agricultural sector all over the Africa.
Yes, that is good. And I think this forum is going to enlighten so many people. Those people who who are activists like me, we can come together and we think of what we can do, how we can help the farmers, how we can create groups that can fight for the farmers, how can the lawyers work with them, how can our government be of help. You see, so I think this forum is going to open up people's eyes. And we as humanists, we regard everybody as equal. We don't care if you're rich or you're poor. And the worst thing is that I feel sorry for these politicians that are being supporting these bills. They're the ones who are stealing a lot of land. One person has like 1,000 acres. They're the ones who are going to lose more than we poor people as they take us. So it's good if we humanist people will come together and work together and find out how we can oppose and do the right thing. And always I say we should always use that principle of silo. Do unto others how would you like them to be done to you. Will America be happy if we are doing that to them? That is the principle. Let us liberate ourselves by doing the right thing in a peaceful manner and with a lot of democracy.
Fantastic. Beautiful. That is so well expressed.
It's very good. And we, you know, if I can add a little bit, is yeah, it is horrible how they are treating people and how they are what is happening in Kenya. So you have to be very careful. And the thing is, you have to work. That's why active non-violence is so important, because if you use violence, they know how to beat you down 10 times harder. But if you do active non-violence, then they don't know how to deal with it. And also, you should not be afraid to talk to people around you in your neighborhood, your family, your friends. We have experience wherever we go there. We are talking. You know, we are all humans, and we are talking into the heart of people. And like you're saying, all these videos, all this awareness of these human things is growing, and people understand it because everybody is human. We are the same. The human in me and the human in you is the same. But one more point. Okay, Antonio Opala was sharing his document, and it is beautiful. I was sharing it, and I will share the others. So I encourage you to do all the documents today and share it. Okay, sorry, I'm finished.
Eugene?
Yeah, thank you so much. I would just like to add something on what Tracy has been telling us. And I'm like, when we are building the principle of naturalization, we realize that the present generation that is coming forth from 2024 onwards is a better generation. I think we should also realize that the people we are raising, which principles of survival are we raising in them? The principles of dictum, what are we teaching them? What are we instilling in their minds? You realize that we are raising a generation that is ahead of time because they can access a lot of IT, they're learning a lot of things, they're embracing a lot of modernity. But when we we curb all these things together, we realize and we instill some discipline in our kids, we are going to leave behind a generation that is ready to take forth the tasks that people have been doing that are going to be so profitable. And then another thing I've also realized that the value of people, most of our leaders are selling us to the white people. Like in Kenya, we are being sold as slaves unknowingly, because you come to realize that most of our leaders are selling us to white men because they want an exchange in terms of whether it is a loan, whether it is anything they want to do in terms of monetary exchange. And you realize that we are losing our value as Africans. Our Africanicity is being sold away. And at the end of the day, we are sinking into debts. We are losing our value. We are losing our culture. And I think in the future, we should raise a generation that is going to embrace a lot of being original. We should be so original and appreciate what we have, because that is what God and nature has given to us, and we should appreciate it to the extent where we are not willing to be sold. We are not willing to sell ourselves because we want a token of appreciation. We should grow wholesomely with a nature and the principalities of growth. And I think when we raise such a generation forth, we realize that we are going to raise a generation, the better generation. The current generation is a better generation. It has been ranked as a better generation that is going to evolve with the principles of humanity, where most of the people are going to carry a lot of humanitarianism in their hearts. And that's a good generation for us. And thank you so much. May God bless you all. Thank you.
Beautiful.
I saw Dorothy had raised hand, but did you change your mind?
Yeah, I just wanted to add on something. As usual, I normally fight for the right of the children, and I think children are the next generation. And I was thinking the other time, I was thinking a bit louder with some of my friends, saying that this humanist work should be to be spread in school, where we can talk and see on how we can articulate on this issue of how to take care of our environment and also our next generation of the society. The reason why I'm saying so, even the GNC right now, what is bringing all these abductions and the killing? People want accountability. People want where you can stand up and say that this and this is right and this is not right. And that is the reason why you find that most of the GNZ, the young generation who are coming out in protest on the street, they are being abducted because they want accountability. I think if we can bring this issue as humanists on how people can be accountable, how people can know how to live with peace and have a non-violence environment, it will be better. So we should majorly again focus on the children we are working with, or children in the society, because these are the next generation who are going to change things. I think that is what I wanted to contribute. Thank you.
Beautiful, and that is so important, Dora, because it feeds exactly in education and children's education, the new generation's education, and that is a subject of all tables along the forum in the world. It's a fantastic topic, and you have the experience because you are leading a school. I mean, so could be in a better position to contribute enormously in that field.
Also, I was thinking, like, in this forum, we have different groups with different ambitions, different passions. If they can come together, like we have pastors in this group that are very quiet. Delmont is one of them, Pastor Msungu, Bishop. There are so many people here that pastors. Also, if they can come up with a group of their own, humanist group that can be talking this and going to churches, or they can invite us and then we can talk about the humanist movement, and they can make a plan what they want to do with their churches, or what they want to do as pastors. Because sometimes I feel that they keep so quiet and very silent that we don't know if we've sidelined them, or or they are just there? I know they pray for us. I know they are always involved, but I would like if one of them would be a leader, and at least if they can have their own section, because I believe there is now this thing that is coming like all over the world, that to be a pastor now you have to get a degree, you have to do theology, you have to study, which some people believe it's a call, some people don't believe. And for me, I was thinking like if they can come up and see how they can help also the other pastors to come up and have those theology classes through the humanist movement. They can talk to them, because apart from just being spiritual, you also need you need mentally, you need to be physical, and there are some things that are more real on the ground than on the Bible. There are some things that need actions. They don't just need prayers. So I don't know if I'm speaking badly, but I was thinking of that this year, that they should voice up more, because other people have been voicing up, but these people that are with us, they're very quiet. From Tanzania, we have them. From Burundi, we have them. From Uganda, we have them. Gambia, we have them. Ghana, we have them. Ethiopia, we have them. And Kenya. But you see, they're very quiet in the group. They always join, but they keep silent. So I think they should form their own group, and then they can tell us what they want. And when before 25th, they can know how they can speak for the rest of the other pastors or priests or whatever, churches or whatever they call themselves. I think it's clear, or maybe I'm exaggerating.
No, that's very good. I mean, I don't know the behavior, but it's very interesting to invite the communities. If you want religious communities, they can have a very active role. I mean, Christianity in many ways is a very positive background. I mean, it gives a moral orientation, and of course, many of these churches, of course, they are manipulated like everything else from the United States, and finance and all the rest of it. But the principles of Christianity as such, in their own purity, they are very solidarious and very humanitarian. And of course, there we should have lots of coincidence.
If I can also add, then the humanist movement believe in freedom of religion, totally freedom of religion, and like to treat others like you want others to treat you is the main thing in most of the religion we have. So we are brothers. We are all together.
Yes.
And actually, in the humanist movement, when we are doing well-being, what is it else than praying? It is the same as praying, but we don't give it one name of a religion. But we encourage the Christians, the Muslims, the Buddha, everyone to practice their religion, and that we are together, brothers and sisters. We are all going the same direction. And you don't have to be shy to use Jesus Christ to tell the same things we are doing.
Because it's spirituality, and the spirituality belongs to all human beings. We are spiritual. We have a part that is spiritual. We have a psyche. We are all aiming towards the spirit. And so people can do it according to the traditions, because that will inspire them. But we are all in the same, and we are all constructed in the same manner. So
it's like I'm Icelandic, you are Kenyan, you are Uganda, you are Argentinian, but we are all human, and we are all going in the same direction. Actually, one point of the humanist movement that we have not introduced very much, but I would like to introduce slowly by slowly, is inner guide. Everybody have inner guide, and we can call it different things: Jesus, God, Buddha, whatever. So don't be shy. I support you, Tracy, in this. And you see, we can reach to all the pastors, and we have no problem to communicate and have have a, because we are all going the same direction.
That's right. Damon he wants to say something. Delman.
Yes, I want to say something. I think this is a good idea. This is a good idea to have opportunity to communicate with the pastors. Another thing I would like to say is that pastors are not only theologians. Like me, I am a doctor. I am a doctor, and I specialize in public health. But as a church elder, I attended also Bible school, and there are also other pastors who, in addition to pastoral work, are humanists, and there are many pastoral humanists. It can be a good opportunity for this.
Perfect. Coincident. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Delmont.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I also wanted to add something. I wanted to talk on what Tracy was talking, like some of us are quiet on the wall. I think the freedom which Kenya has is different with some other Africa country. I don't know whether I'm lying or it's the research I've done is not okay, but I stand to be corrected. You find that the freedom we have in Kenya, where you can go to the road and protest and do all other things, even in the social media, Kenya has a higher freedom on those sides. But you find that some African countries, they still don't have that freedom as much. I don't know whether somebody in the group can correct me on that. Somebody from Uganda, maybe you can tell us. Because I always see most of the people from other countries, they're not as free as Kenyan because of maybe the rules and maybe their constitution and how they're being regulated. There's freedom of expression there, but some are still being denied. Some are still being denied on how to come out.
Mm-hmm. Freedom.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Lots of topics. Very interesting. Ocean wants to say something.
yeah,
Ocean
Hudson.
has-
yes, I want to talk about what Dorothy has just said. Here in Uganda, like we don't have that freedom like in Kenya, whereby you can go on street and you express or on social media. Here the laws, okay, it is there, but we are not given that liberty. So here it's totally different. Once you try it out, before you know, you can be arrested. They can abduct you. Some people are even killed. So here it's totally different. We don't have that freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And you forgot to tell them that your president was there before I was born, and he's still there. And you people, you don't know how to remove him. Anyway, I'm not inciting.
Tracy, you're not trying to be exciting.
And to add on what Tracy just said, it's not very easy here to do out things. As I've just mentioned, you can be planning like to go on streets before you know you are locked inside your houses, so it's not very easy. Actually, I was here; it's very hard, and the president actually day by day keeps on bringing in new tactics. Now, like we are almost heading for elections. Now, I heard the Trace talking about laws. Now, like here, they want even to bring, I don't know how to call them, the laws. They're trying to create in, these days, youth are very active in politics. Now, they want to create in some laws whereby they can arrest you, even maybe if they say this one just went and picked something very simple. They can arrest you, like they want to curtail that used to be participating. They arrest you even for nothing, and they can makes you stay in prison like for 3-4 years. So they want like to reduce the youth to participate in politics. So we are not going to have that opportunity of like changing our president, as Tracy is saying.
Mm. Yeah, we'll see politically what could be doing in the, but of course, we don't want to enter into that. But the dissemination of ideas in itself, I think, is strong enough, like to persuade lots of people by encouraging lots of people, like clarify lots of people. The political history, of course, of Uganda is horrendous. We know well, and then. Yes, we have to wait until this guy to disappear, and we'll see what opening will take place there. But I am sure that the predominance of the BRICS as an organization and the participation of more African countries will facilitate to real democracy gradually establish everywhere.
Yes, and
because
your country has made us proud. It has joined the BRICS
yeah,
this year.
yeah,
I don't know if
Mm.
the problem with these Ugandan people, they don't know anything about politics because they don't even access to the Facebook. They've been shut down. They have TV. The media is being controlled, so they only listen to very different national media that are from the government, and they listen what the government wants to tell them. But let me tell you that your country is one of the African countries in East Africa that has made us proud. You guys, you are joining BRICS. As we wanted to join, then our president again backed out. But we are very proud of you, Ugandan people.
Very good, nice.
So, as for the length of our discussion, the length of the video, we are in a very opportune time to say, that we have more or less finished this
The
session.
meeting. Mm.
Yes. So, what about that?
We'll provide you lots of information about the forum, and that we'll put it in the list within the next few days, and you can access the web and so on. So to building up until the 25th.
Yes, yes.
Invite in the meantime people, keep them in mind and keep them informed, because that will be very important to have a strong presence of Africa.
Yeah, we should then distribute the video widely as we possibly can. And so I will now go ahead finishing this meeting, and to all of you, peace, force, and joy.
Very nice to see you.
Before you close,
Yes, please, Tracy. Yes.
Please, there is a training that is going on, and the humanist people were given a privilege to present people. We have one that wants to employ youths in the wildlife section. And I had talked to some leaders, and they can see them here in the forum. Please make sure that your youth fill those forms so that they can be able to be taken by the wildlife organization. And it's an African thing. It's not only in Kenya. So if your youth get the opportunities to work with this wildlife thing, that will be a plus for the humanist. And make sure that you bring us back the report if one of your youths has been taken. That is from age 20 to 32. And then we have this one where they want to train our humanist women in IT and digital business. That one has no age. And I'm so glad that we've already had 30 women on board that have sent the forms and they've filled, and it has gone to the United Nations. So we are just waiting for 15th January to know who have been selected. And please, if you've been selected as a leader, let me know and let the humanist movement know that we can make a very good document out of that, because it is through the meetings that we go as humanist forums that has been enabled us to get that chance. And we are hoping that we are going to get more and more. So
Fantastic.
please, if you're here and you have already filled the form, if you get a chance to get that training, let the humanist people know. Thank you. Peace, force, and joy.
Yeah.
Tracy.
Thank you. So we have now 2 hands up. So we have not emptied the meeting, obviously. So Ragnar and Anthony.
Yeah,
Opala, you
I'm,
want to say something?
I'm
Welcome.
here to recognize Ragnar's new hairstyle, 2025.
I was fixing my car, so
You need a
it
nose stone
disturbed
for
me.
that.
I'm going swimming with my daughter after this meeting. But I wanted to add, okay, after 3 days, on the 5th is the end of the Third World March, and it is a online online streaming, and it is, yeah, and we will introduce it well on our website, so you can take part, what time it is, and where and when. But I want to say, like Tracy, you know, when we united, we work together, we spread, then more and more doors open up for us everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
So that is nice.
Yeah, very good.
Remember to make the documents tonight.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Very good to see you all.
Yeah, yeah. And Anthony Opala was finished.
Anthony is there.
Yeah. Okay, so let's say peace, force, and joy to all.
Peace, force, and
Peace,
joy.
force, and joy
Good
to
to
all
you.
of you.
Peace, force, and joy to all of you.
Peace, force, and joy for all of you.
Peace, force, and joy.
Force and joy to all of you.
Yes, yes.